dealt with. As a premier community in Hampton Roads, James City County strives to maintain a high quality of life for all citizens through sound fiscal management and legislative actions. In an ongoing effort to increase transparency, your Board of Supervisors holds public meetings to garner citizen input before making important decisions. Here is tonight's meeting agenda. Stay tuned. The Board of Supervisors meeting will begin shortly.
I call to order this meeting of the Board of Directors of the James City Service Authority Board of Directors. Mr. Powell, please call the roll.
Good afternoon. Mr. Hippel.
Here.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower. Here. Ms. Larson. Here. Ms. Knoll.
I need a motion to, you're going to do that, Doug, or me?
I can do it. I'd like to request a motion to amend the agenda to include a resolution or an item about adopting the revised meeting calendar to include the budget town meetings on your consent calendar.
So moved. Mr. Powell, call the roll.
Mr. Hippel. Here. Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower. Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Ms. Knoll.
Aye.
Here twice.
We have no presentations tonight. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, ma'am.
The consent calendar tonight.
I think we do have a speaker card.
We do have a speaker card?
No. Okay. Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry. Who's on first?
So we do have a.
No, that's for later.
That's for later. Okay. Okay. Tonight's consent calendar consists of the following items: adoption of the minutes and amendment to the board's meeting calendar.
Move the adoption of the consent calendar.
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower. Ms. Larson. Ms. Knoll.
Aye. No one wishes to pull an item. May I have a motion for approval? We just approved. Motion carries. Public hearing? None?
No public hearings.
Board considerations. Contract award of $180,110, hydraulic excavator replacement.
JCSA has 3 excavators, the oldest of which is used almost daily by our water distribution section. It is nearing the end of its useful life. It's currently out of service and repair parts are unavailable. Accelerating replacement and purchasing the excavator now will allow JCSA to continue to maintain its level of service. The Water Fund Repair and Replacement Reserve contains funding for the immediate purchase of the excavator. Funding for the replacement excavator will remain in the proposed fiscal year 25 budget as originally planned to reimburse the Water Fund Repair and Replacement Reserve. Staff recommends approval of the resolution authorizing the purchase of the replacement excavator for $187,110 from Carter Machinery.
I can move that motion.
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower. Aye. Ms. Larson. Ms. Knoll.
Aye. Board requests and directives. Anything from the board for discussion? No? General Manager's update, Mr. Powell.
Just one item, I had mentioned to you a couple months ago that the Five Forks Water Treatment Plan would be offline for a while we did some improvements there. The improvements are not completely finished, but they are mostly finished, and the plant is back online. It was back online last week, so I just want to let you know the Five Forks Water Treatment Plant is back online.
Okay, we'd like to adjourn until 6 p.m. on April 3rd, 2024 for the Budget Community Meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower? Ms. Larson? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Call to order this James City County Board of Supervisors regular meeting. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Stevens, if you'll please call the roll, but we do need, call the roll. There we go.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Knoll? Ms. Knoll represents the Stonehouse District. Mr. Hippel?
Here.
Mr. Hippel represents the Palatine District. Mr. McGlinnan?
Here.
Mr. McGlinnan represents the Roberts District. Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower represents the Damestown District and is Vice Chair to the Board. Ms. Larson?
Here.
Ms. Larson represents the Berkeley District and is Chair of the Board. Sitting to my far left is Adam Kinsman, County Attorney, and I'm Scott Stevens, County Administrator. It's my pleasure to be Clerk for the Board.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We do need a motion to amend the agenda to add a closed session item relating to a contract discussion. Is there a motion? Okay, and Mr. Stevens, if you'll call the roll.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel? Mr. McGlinnan? Mr. Eisenhower? Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That brings us to a moment of silence, and then we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Knoll, are you introducing our pledge
Sure.
leader this evening?
Our lovely lady doing our Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Miss Penny Da Silva. She goes to Norwich Elementary School. She's in 3rd grade. And her sports are lacrosse and gymnastics and cheerleading. And she's a class representative. And she wants to get into politics. And she's starting at a young age. We're excited about that. So do we do that first? We do this first, right? Whoops.
We'll do the moment of silence, and then we'll do the pledge, and then you'll get
Yeah,
into that.
we'll do the moment of silence and then we'll do the pledge, okay?
I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Penny. You come up and we'll get a picture with everybody. Timing is great.
Great job. Before we get further into our agenda this evening, I just have a very brief statement. At the City of Williamsburg City Council meeting held yesterday, their consultant team presented their report regarding the possibility of a separation of the current joint operating school system between the City of Williamsburg and James City County. As a reminder, the city has approximately 1,100 students, and James City County has 10,000 plus. We jointly have 16 schools, with 3 of those in the city. However, please note that there are both city and county students in several of those schools. This is one of the steps in a several-step process as we work towards a resolution brought on by the city's desire to explore a separate school system. The city will hold a public meeting on March 26th at James Blair Middle School from 5:30 to 7:30, which will give the public an opportunity to talk with the consultant team. I would imagine that all are welcome, but as you might expect, the city will want to hear from the citizens of the city as they work towards their decision of a separation or a desire to ask to enter into a renegotiation of the joint contract with James City County. I do want to thank the mayor, vice mayor, council, and the city manager for keeping the lines of communication open during this period and their willingness, and ours, to have a very open and frank conversation. I also want to point out that their consultant team, led by Dr. Jeffrey Smith, has done a very comprehensive study, and it should be noted that Dr. Smith and Dr. Thornton are both award-winning former superintendents and both former assistant superintendents for Williamsburg, James City County. I do think that it is important to remember that the James City County Board of Supervisors, and I know our citizens, want the very best outcomes in the way of achievement for all students. Whether you live in the city or the county, we expect nothing less. The largest percentage of our budget goes to the schools. How those funds are allocated in their budget is the responsibility of the Williamsburg James City County School Board. However, I do think it is worthy of a conversation as we look over these achievement numbers. Please know that we value each person that works for Williamsburg James City County Schools. It has come to my attention that there is some concern over future employment should there be two systems. Rest assured that the student population and needs will require the current staffing level. We hope that whether you are someone considering becoming a bus driver or a teacher in Williamsburg, James City County, that you will decide to join this school division and rest easy knowing that decisions made by this body and the city council may impact which division you work for, but we will need you. There are always many factors that weigh into student achievement, and I hope the Williamsburg James City County School Board will have an open and honest conversation with the administration at a future board meeting that discusses the study and the achievement numbers. Again, let me emphasize that while this study was done by the city, and as several of their council members said yesterday, they expect strong academic outcomes for their students. We expect nothing less for James City County students and all the students of Williamsburg, James City County. And I'm sure my colleagues will have more to say during board matters. Thank you. With that, I believe that brings us to public comment. And we do have speaker cards this evening. Jab Mebeb? Did I say that correctly?
That's the speaker on behalf of
Okay, so you will speak later, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. No? Oh, okay, so you can speak now. Thank you. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
First name, yes. Last name, no. So
Oh, sorry.
My name is Jad Malab.
Okay.
I work
Sorry
for
about that.
Luckstone. Yep. Work for Luckstone as land development manager. Address is 515 Stone Mill Drive, Mannequin Sabbath, Virginia, 23103. Just talking a little bit about the Toano zoning amendment that we had applied for. We can move to the next slide. Just want to give a little bit of background of what this site is and what we're asking here tonight. This site is what we call a distribution yard. We ship crushed stone from our quarries in and around Richmond to this site via train, rail, and we use it to distribute to the local market to support construction and construction needs. This site, Luckstone did not develop. We acquired this site from the Massey Corporation back in 2010. The original proffer that we're amending, which is removing the public dedication of the road that goes through our property, was originally set or proffered for the Massey case early in the 90s because their plan was to subdivide the property and basically sell it off to different parties. Luckstone is asking to remove this proffer because we actually just celebrated 100 years and being in business last year, and we are still growing and expanding our footprint, so we have no intention of selling any of the parcels that are accessed via that road. Currently, this road is just being used as a driveway for our distribution yard. Our customers, whether it's pickup trucks or dump trucks use this property as well as use this road to access our scale office and main office for our employees. Other than that, we're just a little concerned because of the nature of our business. There's a lot of heavy equipment on site that go back and forth on that road for just to conduct business, and there's really no use for a public car to be on that driveway. If we can go to the next slide, just so I can look at the map and see what I'm talking about. So the top left corner, that's our entire site. Off of Richmond Road on the bottom left is the entrance to our site, and all the properties, for all the parcels from that entrance all the way to where it says Luckstone Toano Yard is basically just parcels that are owned by Luckstone. The picture on the top right shows that entrance, which is pretty much just our driveway at this point. The picture on the bottom shows the end of that driveway. After that, really, it's just heavy equipment that's going, or dump trucks that are going on that road. So county staff, Luckstone, and VDOT met on site few months ago, and everybody was in agreement that it will be for everybody's best interest to remove that proffer and just make that a private road for Luckstone. That's all I have tonight. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions? Thank you. We don't typically do questions and answers during public comment, but thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope I do not mess up this young man's name, Luke Bessingpass? But you can tell me. Come on up. Oh, goodness. Well, thanks for telling me. So tell me, do we have a stool or anything that we can offer? Okay, thank you. Hold on one second, Luke, and then you can tell me. Tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Bessingpass.
Bessingpass. All right, thank you. Luke, go ahead.
Well, I was a little concerned because we moved into a new neighborhood and the speed limit is 25 and there are people going really fast. And a lot of people walk around in our neighborhood, like they walk dogs. I like to bike. And so it's a safety concern because people speed through the entrance of the neighborhood, and other neighbors have seen people speeding throughout the rest of the neighborhood. So I just wanted to see if there were if you would consider getting signs or something to block them, to stop them from speeding, like reflective paint or the glass beads under the reflective paint.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Stevens?
Ms. Larson, I would just add, I know Supervisor Hippel had some conversation on this, and young man, you did a great job, so thanks for coming and sharing that. And we have talked with our police department. I think you'll see some enforcement activities and some signs up to try to slow people down. And then certainly we'd be willing to talk about traffic calming. That's sort of a long-range idea for us. We don't do a lot of that. Those kinds of things you're mentioning are traffic calming kinds of activities, and working with VDOT. We have had those conversations, but we don't have a lot of that in the county yet. But we certainly want to slow people down, and you'll see our officers there working to do that in the coming weeks. So thanks for bringing that to our attention, and really nice to see you did a great job this evening. Yes, sir.
And out of safety, I did not ask Luke his address. So, all right, thank you very much. Any more public comment cards? All right. That brings us to our consent calendar. Tonight's consent calendar consists of the following items. 1, amend board calendar to add the community budget meetings. 2, contract award $130,000 fitness court. Does anyone wish to pull an item? All right, may I please have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. McGlennon? Mr. Eisenhower? Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Motion
And
carries.
Mr. Stevens, where can people find the schedule for the budget meetings?
I'm going to mention them later. They're all on our website. They're on our real estate's website. We have pushed them out to the news media, and so our website's the place to go, and then our real estate division in particular, they'd be there as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
With that, that brings us to public hearings this evening. One, an ordinance to vacate a portion of that certain subdivision plat entitled Plat of Division of J.W. Moore Estate, and more particularly described as the vocation of the 50-foot right-of-way known as Moore Drive. Two, a resolution to grant an access easement along the area designated as a 50-foot right-of-way known as Moore Drive on that certain subdivision plat entitled Plat of Division of J.W. Moore Estate, reported in the clerk's office for the Circuit Court of the County of James City on May 29, 1973, in Plat Book 30, page 60. And it's my understanding that Adam Kinsman will give a joint presentation on both items.
Thank you, Ms. Larson.
Oh, there you are.
I
Yes.
promise to be briefer than the title of the public hearing ads. Before you tonight is an ordinance seeking vacation of a public right-of-way and a resolution establishing an ingress-egress easement along that same area. Back in 1973, the plat establishing Moore Drive was recorded in the clerk's office. Recordation of this plat operated by law to transfer the right-of-way to the county. Back in 1973, no surety to improve the road was required, and in the preceding 50 years, that road has never been improved. There are currently 2 completed houses along Moore Drive, and those are the blue dots that you see on the screen. And they do not actually use Moore Drive. They use a private pathway to get to Route 60, and I depicted that with the yellow line that's on there. There's currently a new house being constructed, and that's with the yellow marker on there. That developer has cleared a portion of Moore Drive to access that particular lot via a license agreement with the county. Improvement of Moore Drive to meet the standards to have it accepted into the Virginia Department of Transportation's secondary street system is likely to cost millions of dollars and is not going to serve any more than those 10 lots. Instead, staff recommends that the board vacate the right-of-way and grant the adjacent parcels an ingress-egress easement. That will eliminate future demand on the county to improve Moore Drive while still allowing the property owners to full access of their parcels. I recommend that following the joint public hearing, the board adopt the ordinance vacating this right-of-way and an easement allowing the county administrator to execute those documents necessary to leave an easement for all of these folks to get to their property. Happy to answer any questions you may have and recommend adoption of both.
Thank you so much. Are there questions for staff? All right. With that, I will open the public hearing for the ordinance to vacate. Are there speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing and look to the board for discussion and/or a motion. Oh, okay. So open a separate public hearing? Okay. Sorry. I will open just 1 second, in that it says to look for a discussion and or motion for number 1, and then Mr. Stevens to call the roll, and then open the public hearing on the second.
So
Okay.
I'll move the adoption of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlennon?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll? Mr. Hippel? Aye. Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Motion
And I
carries.
apologize for the confusion.
I guess did Planning Commission act on these? No. Okay.
He is up, though, next, the next thing, so, okay. I will open the public hearing for the resolution to grant an access easement. Are there any speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Close the public hearing, and I will look to the board for discussion and or a motion.
Motion to move the resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. McGlennon? Aye. Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. That moves us to board considerations, and our PC rep this evening is Jack Haldeman. Thank you for coming, Mr. Haldeman. We have Z23-0010, Luckstone, Toano, Proffer Amendment. Suzanne Yates.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. The applicant, Ms. Kimberly Shepard of Troutman Pepper LLP, on behalf of Luckstone Corporation, has applied to amend the existing proffers for 2 parcels located at 7734 Richmond Road and 3920 Cokes Lane. The properties are split zoned M1, Limited Business Industrial with proffers, and M2, General Industrial with proffers, located within the primary service area and are designated general industry and mixed use on the adopted 2045 comprehensive plan land use map. The current proffers were adopted on May 11th, 1994, to approve a conditional rezoning of properties shown in attachment entitled Coates Lane Rezoning Legend. The current internal industrial driveway was not constructed to VDOT standards, and it does not meet the requirements necessary for VDOT to accept the road into the public system. The proposed proffer amendment would remove the requirement to dedicate the industrial access road for public use and the requirement for a 50-foot minimum right-of-way width. Staff finds that the existing industrial road leading to aggregate stockpiles and other operations germane to Luckstone Toano are currently unsuitable for public access or use. Staff also finds the proposed proffer amendment would not negatively impact surrounding property owners. At its February 7th, 2024 meeting, the Planning Commission, by a vote of 7-0, recommended approval of this proffer amendment. Staff also finds that the proposed proffer amendment would not negatively impact surrounding property owners. Staff recommends the Board of Supervisors approve and accept the proposed proffer amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is available to you as well.
I was just sort of curious, the two parcels that are listed there with the hatching on it, the part that's actually sort of below the red there, that's part of Luckstone as well, but is it a separate zoning and it wasn't part of this proffer or whatever?
It's not part of this proffer amendment.
Okay, but
Separate
but it is part of Luckstone's property?
It is.
Okay, very good. That explains that to me. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any further questions for Ms. Yates? All right, thank you. With that, if Mr. Haldeman?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. As Ms. Yates mentioned, we met and considered this application on February 7th. We agree with staff's assessment in its entirety. There was no discussion and there were no questions. And the commission recommends unanimously that you approve this application.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Mr. Haldeman? All right, thanks so much. With that, I will open no, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to follow this and, okay. With that, I'll look to the board for discussion and or a motion.
Yeah, I would like to move this forward, but I want to say before we get going, the Massey family that ran this, I remember when they developed this piece, ran an excellent job on what the Massey family did for this piece of property. And also Luckstone, what an outstanding company they are and how well they run a business in our community. And it's top notch, and the road that they have, yeah, definitely is not something for neighbors or anybody else to go in. It's more the construction trucks to go in and out. We buy quite a bit of product from them, and they're an outstanding company, and I'm glad they're in our community. So I would make a motion for approval.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll? Aye. Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Brace yourself. That brings us to board request and directives. Ms. Knoll? Right, Mr. Hippel?
I have a few things, or one main thing. I'd like to see the solar discussion and the solar farm, and the Planning Commission has done an outstanding job on what they've been working on that. But I would like to see that come back to us as a policy and not an ordinance, and maybe at our next meeting, give staff time to put that together. And as a policy, we can make changes as we move forward instead of as an ordinance. And, but give our staff long enough before our next meeting to put everything together, and then that they won't have to advertise for an extra meeting for the Planning Commission. It'll take a load off the Planning Commission. I know they're working hard on a lot of items for us, and this will probably help out in the long run, but I'd like to see this move forward as a policy issue. And that's all I have on that.
Just two quick items. One is related to this. I think at the time that we decided to go ahead and work on something on solar, I also requested that we try to take a look at the question of data centers, because obviously there's going to be a lot of pressure in a lot of localities for that to be considered, and just wondered if I could get a report at some point as to whether we are working on that yet, and what we might expect to see out of don't
Okay,
need
we'll
any.
see if we, oh, sorry. I was just gonna see if we could get staff to come forward with
I was just gonna
information
say,
on both of those.
I don't need to get it tonight. I
Right,
just-
next meeting.
Great, great. And the other thing is just as the chair pointed out, we are all going to be engaged in discussions about the future of our school system over the next several months. And I just think it's extremely important for us to step back and listen carefully to what is said. We had a meeting of the school liaison committee just last week, and I think it's important for us all to be aware of the performance of our schools and to take into account all of the implications of our joint system and the potential for division in the two school systems into two school systems. But I think this is really going to be a time for us to avoid sort of quick decisions, decisions that reflect a kind of reaction to any kind of expressions that we hear and that we may hear from our citizens or from others, and carefully think about what the future holds for our schools. That's it.
Yeah, a couple of things real quick. Number one, I agree totally with my colleague about the solar. I've had discussions with staff as well. I think we are going to be better served if we have it under a policy as opposed to an ordinance for a multitude of reasons. And one of the things in discussing with staff is I think we need to recognize that a lot of really hard work has gone into this already. But what I want is if they direct them to focus it on the policy level, I'd like to see them bring us something back that we can each individually sit down with our highlighters and start working, because one of the things I found in looking through some of this was we'd have a paragraph that would be maybe that big that could be boiled down to essentially one or two sentences about what it really is, that we didn't need to get editorialized a lot in some of the policy, as we needed to be very precise and very clear and very focused in what we wanted. And in order to get there, I think if they can put that out to us and have each of us do that editorial work individually and then sit down with staff one-on-one when they pull this all together, Mr. Holt said that would probably give them a lot better opportunity to put together a document that we could then have a better working basis on. And I think we don't want to necessarily put them under any undue pressure on this. There's no urgency on it as far as I'm concerned. I think we ought to. I'd rather do it right than have to do it over again, which was the way we did it in the Air Force a lot. But anyway, so that's where I am with the solar ordinance and policy. Previous meeting, I had asked for some information about holding off on applications because of special stormwater criteria and some of those issues. And subsequently, staff brought to my attention that there's a whole list of things on the end process right now that would otherwise be adversely affected. And so I'm happy to accommodate staff in that we back off on that a little bit. We still have the ability to determine on a case-by-case basis as we go forward as a board what we will put on our docket or not. But it also gives us an opportunity with staff potentially to work on some of these stormwater criteria things from our planning, our watershed plans to help how we can implement that. So I will work with staff on that if that's okay with everybody, and there's no urgency on bringing anything back to the board on that right now. One of the other things I would say is I echo the schoolish situation. When the next couple of months are going to be intense between now and the time school lets out, and I think we owe it to our constituents to be in a listening mode and absorb. And when we do make decisions after very careful due deliberation. Sometimes there's a tendency to get irritated with people for things they do, and that's not a good time to be making a decision like that. So I think Mr. McGlennon brings up a very good point. We need to be very, very deliberate with that. And then the last thing is that I would let the board know that I will be here for the April the 9th meeting, but I will not be here for the April the 23rd business session. I will like to attend via remote. I will be in Europe because I have an opportunity to visit my daughter before she engages in some different employment that keeps her a little further away from home. And I will set that up to, with the board's concurrence, to attend remotely on my work session.
Thank you very much. I would just like to point out to the public that the study that was done by the consultants for the city is, from my understanding, on their website. They've got some spotlight, it's apparently, and so you can see the study in its entirety. I believe it's about 400 pages. So you can, yes, but it's got a lot of information in there, and you can also rewatch their meeting that they held yesterday. Very quickly, I just want to thank Miss Fremont's class at Matthew Whaley for my nice cards that I went for Read Across America Day, and I'm trying desperately to get out to Stonehouse. Ms. Christie has invited me to come out there and read. Our schedules have just been a tad full lately, and not getting any less full anytime soon. So with that, we'll move to the report of the county administrator.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to mention to you and the board and the community, real estate assessments, as you might imagine, were mailed out and have generated quite a few calls to our real estate office. I just want to reassure the community we are returning those calls. As the hundreds come in, it has taken some time, so we are running a day or two behind in returning those calls, but our staff is there. They are getting the messages, and they should be reaching back out to residents that have called. You do have an opportunity to appeal the information with our staff, our real estate division. They will talk to you, the assessor, and if there is something wrong with data, we will make those adjustments, and that does happen, so I certainly encourage people to call. But I would also say the assessments in that 20-some% average, some will be higher than that, some are lower than that. It's a 20-some% average increase, but that is consistent with what has gone on in York County and in New Kent County. So I don't think our values are terribly off in terms of where they should be, but I know folks are worried about the tax impact, and so as put together a proposed budget, I do expect to have it released by March 29th. And then we will have 5 community meetings, which are scheduled, Ms. Larson alluded to earlier. The first will be April 6th at 6 p.m. We will
April 3rd.
April 3rd at 6 p.m., not April 6th, April 3rd at 6 p.m. at Legacy Hall in Newtown. We'll have another one April 4th at the James City County Recreation Center, again at 6 p.m. Another one April 8th at Toano Middle School at 6 p.m. April 10th, we will be at Hornsby Middle School at 6 p.m. And then we moved one on April 11th to 4 p.m. For those that may not want to be out after it might get dark. And that will be held at the Government Center, and again on April 4th at 4 p.m. So there is a lot of opportunity for public interaction. I would encourage the presentations will be similar at all 5 of those community meetings, so you could come to each, but they are done by district. And so your supervisor will be at their respective district meetings as well as maybe some of those others. I know Ms. Larson has expressed an interest in being at all of those, so she'll be there and available as well. And we look forward to having those conversations. There's also a public hearing on the budget, your April 9th meeting, and some more information on the budget to be put out via podcast. But just telling residents in advance, I have been asked a couple times, what does the reassessment generate? It is close to $21 million at the current tax rate. I will tell you much of that is needed for staffing, both for the schools and our staff, and we'll have more to talk on that. And as we get to the end of having the budget out in a few weeks, we'll see if there is a recommended change in the tax rate at that time. So just want to make sure people are aware of their opportunity, both with our real estate division through the end of March, and then with our Board of Equalization for appealing that value through the end of April. They need to file or make contact with us, and that number for our real estate division is 253-6650. Again, it's 757-253-6650. So just be patient with us. We will be in contact and make sure that we've answered your questions. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, can I add one more thing?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I noticed when I was reading the information on the school newsletter, and Matthew Crawford, which all of us probably knew him as Jasper, and he's got 50 years of driving for the school system, and he drove me 45 years ago, so he's been with the school system. He did. And he even told me one time, and when we were talking, he says, now I can add it to the list. I drove one of the board of supervisors to school.
There you go.
So, just congratulations on his 50 years in the school system. And I know the superintendent mentioned his 50 years, and appreciate that. And he's done an excellent job for us. Good job, Jasper.
Absolutely. Thank you. With that, I need a motion to enter closed sessions for the following items: consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, specifically the Newtown Section 7 and 8 proffers pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia, and 2, discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A29 of the Code of Virginia, and pertaining to the contract between the county, the city of Williamsburg, and WJCC schools. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan? Mr. Eisenhower? Ms. Larson?
Aye. With that, we're in closed session.
correct one that was given to me before. We may need to do a new certificate for the.
Thank you.
We're out now.
Yes, with that, I would ask for a motion to certify our closed session.
Madam Chair, I move to certify that we only spoke about those items we indicated we would speak about going into closed session.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens?
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel? Aye. Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye. With that, I will ask for an adjournment until 8:30 a.m. on March 15th, 2024 for the joint meeting with Williamsburg City Council and Williamsburg James City County School Board to be held at the Stryker Center, 412 North Boundary Street, Williamsburg, Virginia. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens?
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Hippel? Mr. McGlinnan? Mr. Eisenhower? Ms. Larson?
Aye. Meeting adjourned.